Hi, my name is Filipa. Welcome to my channel, Awkward, where I give parents the encouragement, knowledge, and tools to provide their children with mindful sexual education. I'm really hoping that when you come to this channel that you are able to get information that makes it easier for you to answer your kids' very awkward questions about bodies, feelings, and sex. Today's topic is I'm going to give you 8 tips on how to answer kids' awkward questions. First, I'm really loving this wings thing I have going on here. Okay, so the first tip is keep calm. When your kid comes to you with an awkward question, try to maintain your cool. Expect the unexpected when it comes to these things. And I know it's very hard, especially because kids tend to ask these questions anywhere, which means that sometimes they ask these questions when you are in a public place, and this makes you feel awkward and uncomfortable. And I also want you to feel like it is okay that you feel that way when kids ask these questions, you know, especially in public places that you can't get out of, like the elevator with your neighbor there, you know. So keep calm. If you feel uncomfortable answering that question there and then, that is perfectly okay, and you can always say that you are going to come back to it later. The important thing is that later is not hours later. It is when you have removed yourself from the situation that makes you feel a little bit more uncomfortable, right? So never just say, I will answer it later, or let's talk about it when we get home, and then pretend you forgot, or just hope that the kid forgot, because if they ask that question, they want an answer, and they will not forget that they have asked, but they will remember that you chose not to answer it. So the second tip is return the question to the child. So if they ask you, where do babies come from? You return the question by asking, where do you think babies come from? And what this does is it gives you some time to think about the answer that you want to be giving, and also it helps you gauge the level of knowledge that your kid has around the subject. And this gives you the opportunity to correct any misinformation that they have, or to add to the information that they have. Because if they're asking about it, they either want to confirm, what they're already thinking about it, right? Number 3 is always tell the truth. You should adapt your answer to your kid's developmental stage, but you should not lie to them. So if your kid asks you, oh, where do babies come from? Don't answer something like they come from the shop, or nobody uses the stork anymore. But don't make up some explanation that they will inevitably find out is a lie. What this does is it breaks the trust that the child has in you, and they're less likely to come to talk to you about these subjects of body, feelings, and sex. And also they will feel like you're not a good source of information because you don't have the answers. So here I would suggest that instead of lying, that you educate yourself on how to best answer these questions. And if you are asked a question that you don't know the answer to, you can tell your kid, you know what, I actually am not sure about this. How about I go do some research, and then I come back to you. The reason why I say that you go off on your own to do the research is that if you start typing out things on Google about sexual reproductive health, you might stumble across content that is not appropriate for your child's age. Number 4, you should use really simple language, because the point here is not to confuse the child, but to deliver simple, to the point information. The younger the children are, the more straightforward they want the answer. They want it short. Also, they don't have as much of an attention span. So you will incrementally make it more complex, this answer, as they grow up, which also gives you time to research on the topic and to practice it in your head and do the exercises necessary to make you feel less awkward about talking about them. And you will see that if you start early with your kids and you start early giving them an adequate and mindful sexual education, that these conversations will just be part of your daily life and not this. It shouldn't be a question of you sitting down one day and delivering a lecture. This should just be conversations that happen on your daily life. And these conversations will become ever more complex as children grow older and their questions are different. The fifth tip is that you should really watch your reaction, your facial expression, because children will read that and they will understand whether this is a topic that is appropriate to mention to you or appropriate to come to talk to you about. They will feel like it does make you. They will see that it makes you uncomfortable if you show it. If you realize that you have some kind of unexpected reaction to a question, you can rectify this by saying, oh, it's really good that you're asking these questions. I'm really happy that you're coming to me for the answers. I'm really sorry, but I was just surprised when you asked. And that's it. But make sure that your kid understands that you are a safe person to come to talk about anything. The sixth tip is don't pass the buck. So if your child asks you a question, do not say, oh, you ask your mom or ask your dad. For example, if it's very common that when girls have sexual education related questions and they ask their dad, that the dad says, oh, those are girl things, especially when it comes to the period, for example. And this is not an appropriate way of dealing with the subject. But if you don't feel comfortable talking about it, doesn't mean that you have to be forced to do it. But don't say this is your mom's department, or go talk to somebody else. You can say that you don't know enough about it and go research about it and then give an explanation. These are very normal questions that kids will ask about, and when you feel awkward about answering them, we should also be looking at the reasons why we feel awkward answering them, right? And try to rectify that so that we can give kids a better experience of sexual education. Tip 7 is don't ignore the question. So if your kid asks you the question, do not pretend that you are too busy cutting vegetables to answer the question, because again, your kid will understand that this is a subject that they should not approach with you, that you don't want to talk to them about this. And what it does is it drives kids away from you. And then when you don't answer these questions, they will still have doubts and they will go on to unreliable, inappropriate sources of sexual education, like the internet, where they will stumble on porn, their friends, where you have children telling children how these things work, which usually means that there's a lot of misinformation. Also through media and series where we are exposed to ever more sexually or erotic content, even in day-to-day series, right? The other way that is a common inappropriate source of information about sexual education is actually through sexual abuse. So the 8th tip that I want to leave you with is that you confirm that you have clarified the doubt. So how you do this is you ask your kid to tell you how they interpreted the explanation that you gave them, so that you know that they understood. And if there's some kind of misunderstanding, you're able to rectify that. So here are my tips on how to answer awkward questions by your kids. I hope you enjoyed this video. So leave a message, drop a comment, a like, and subscribe.